Rothschild family bought this in 1875. We've got Lily James.
Lily James,
famous,
yeah.
And there's other people who've been in Star Wars.
Hi everyone. So we're here at Tring Park School for the Performing Arts. 这个学校是非常非常特别的一个学校，这里的气氛很有意思。在过去几十年里，这个学校培养了很多英国非常优秀的表演人才。不止这些，这个学校也是非常的看重孩子们的学术课程。我们马上会进去见一下学校的校长 Simon Lotta Evans， 让大家多了解关于这个学校家长们最关注的问题。Nice to see you. Thank you for inviting us. Thank you.
校长先带我们参观的校园。
The school has been here since 1945. It was originally built by the building underneath it was built by Christopher Wren, who was the famous architect that built St Paul's Cathedral in London.
Yep.
And then the Rothschild family bought this in 1875, more or less, and redecorated it and had all of this extraordinary Rococo decoration put on the front.
Right.
Now we acquired it in 1945 for a very good price at the time, and the school has been here ever since. It started as a girls' ballet school, and over the decades has become a full performing arts theatre school. So we have acting, musical theatre, dance and commercial music, so popular music.
Yeah.
And as you know, many of our students that have trained here have gone on to work in the creative arts sector.
Absolutely,
which is
absolutely,
a global phenomenon.
Yeah.
And Britain's really famous for producing amazing young
Definitely, we punch above our weight on the creative side, don't we?
We really do.
Yeah. Lots of famous names have come out of the school recently. I think, did even Sarah Brightman come to the school? Was that?
We've got Lily James.
Lily James,
famous,
yeah.
And there's other people who've been in Star Wars, and anywhere in the West End you'll see our performers.
Yeah.
And some of the children here at school now are already in the West End.
Yeah, it is. It's and how many nationalities then do you have at the school? Do you know that offhand?
I don't know offhand, but I can say that we have young people from every continent on the planet.
Yeah, yeah. And then as far as the mix of boys and girls in the school, because I'm sure when we think of ballet and dance and performing in general, often girls tend to predominate. How's the kind of the mix and the ratio as you go up through the school?
And that's something I'm really pleased you asked the question, because it's so important to encourage boys into the performing arts.
Yeah.
Across the whole school, if we look at all of our faculties together, then it's about 2/3 girls and 1/3 boys.
Okay.
Dance tends to be dominated by women,
right?
But we're changing that. It's really important that young men see it as being an extraordinary career. It's athletic, it's demanding, it's exciting. There's new work being made that is really appealing to young men now.
And there was a particular film that came out, wasn't there? Was it about 15, 20 years ago that had a massive effect on boys feeling, there might be something they want to try and they're not going to be laughed at for doing it.
Exactly right. That's the Billy Elliot film.
Yeah, and they talk about the Billy Elliot effect even, don't they?
That's right. Yeah, which is very powerful, and it's wonderful. We have dancers and actors and musicians from every walk of life here. Because I suppose one of the other things to think about is that if you imagine we're a school, but if you turn it upside down, we're also a full-time production company.
Yeah.
We're making shows all the time. We're in permanent rehearsal. The theatre is constantly in use. There's a group of children somewhere always rehearsing for the next show,
doing something,
learning lines, learning moves and so on.
And you have obviously, it's open to the public, don't you? You sell tickets to the public. You have children who come in for kind of out of term time, maybe children who are really into performance who maybe couldn't afford to come to the school, able to come and join.
That's right.
Is it the players or? I'm just trying to remember.
We have, it's the Tring Park Associate program.
Okay, Associates.
So at the weekends we have public access dance classes and acting and all kinds of other things going on. Actually here in the Park Studios, that's where the weekend courses happen. Yeah. And in the holidays we have residential courses, which we're talking about, and that's in all the different disciplines from musical theatre to dance, acting and so on.
And there's quite a lot of outreach into the community as well, isn't there? Going to schools and...
we try to do as much of that as possible. We're very busy. But of course some of the outreach is by encouraging people to come into the school and seeing what we're doing. There's a theatre in education project in the autumn term, so the young actors go out to other schools and show work to them.
Well, it's an amazing two-way relationship, isn't it? Because I'm sure the primary schools, especially around here, to get to see West End standard performances just come up the road, once or twice a year or however long, many times they're able to do it, and then the children getting a proper live audience, another opportunity. It's just replicating what they're going to do in their professional lives, isn't it? Yeah.
The Yehudi Menuhin School has a partnership, I think, in Qingdao province. Would that be right?
Qingdao, yeah. Sounds right.
So this is our academic block. So we're uniquely placed in being able to offer fantastic world-class vocational training alongside a really great academic education as well, which is unusual in this particular sector of vocational training schools.
Yeah, and so important to keep all those doors open, isn't it? Because
really
as you grow up and go through your training and education,
find an interest in the technical side of the creative world. So they'll become directors, writers, sound engineers, they work in costume, and another interesting avenue that some people go into is the healthcare services around things like physiotherapy or counselling. There's so many interconnected careers that come off.
Well, I mean, so just looking in the film industry, you mentioned that, and you look at the titles when you come at the end of a film. Obviously, you've got all the cast there, but that's you're through that in 30 seconds, aren't you? And then you've got so many other things. So having a real, deep insight through the training here into the whole world of that, it's fantastic that it can open doors or make you have a taste of something and then really think you might be quite good at it. And you've got that experience from the performance side is always going to be helpful, isn't it? Whether you end up behind the camera or assisting performers or whatever it is, it's going to give you that extra insight, isn't it? So it's our great pleasure to be here at Tring Park School with the principal, Simon Larter-Evans.
Welcome.
Simon.
Well, thank you very much, Andy, for inviting us. And to all of you, it's a great joy to be able to talk to you about our school and what we might be able to do for your mums and dads and their children.
Wonderful. I'll lead into the first question. So when we were just doing a little intro outside, we were talking about how Tring Park has a vocational curriculum and it also has a strong academic curriculum. Before we get into the specifics of Tring Park, could you tell us why it is that our independent schools here in the UK put such an emphasis on extracurricular activities like drama, singing, sport, things like this?
Yeah, I think, and something you'll all understand is the idea of the yin-yang in seeing the whole person. So if we think about the world of the mind, but also the world of the soul and our creative selves and our bodies, then we're giving young people an extraordinary access to so many different parts of their lives that they can then pursue later on in their adult lives, and that's it opens more opportunities for them.
Wonderful. Okay, so speaking for Tring Park specifically, we mentioned you have the vocational and the academic curriculum, equal weight given to both of them. How does this work and how do the students find the energy every day to do both of these things?
Yeah, that's a really good question about where does all that energy come from for young people. And we'll all know for ourselves that when you're in an environment where you're excited and you're happy to be doing what you're doing, energy creates energy, doesn't it? And we can find the length of the day suddenly goes very, very quickly because we're enjoying what we're doing so much. It is a very demanding place to be. We make no apology for that. But what happens is that young people are able to do more and more expertly as a consequence of that building on energy.
So it brings a lot more than just an academic curriculum could give to the children, to the students, obviously. So obviously not all of the children will end up pursuing a career in the performing arts. So what are the specific transferable soft skills that students who have had their education here will have acquired by the time they leave the school that are really going to help launch them into their careers, whatever it might be?
Yes, that's a really good question. And I think particularly now we're in a world where things like artificial intelligence and the world of technology is advancing so quickly, those human attributes of collaborating, working together, having creative ideas, and certainly a really strong sense of community and being successful as towards a goal that we have a shared responsibility to do something really well. I think there's some, and we could talk about the philosophy of this idea at great length. We need to stay in touch with what makes us human in a world that's becoming more and more technologically driven.
Absolutely, absolutely, very important. So thinking about the academic side, are you able to tell us about some of the successes some of your students which have gone down the more academic route have had?
Yeah, very much. I mean, as we talked about earlier about the life of the mind and the life of the body, our young people are just as likely to go into medicine or into finance worlds, or where else have we see people ending up in law. That's not unusual. So those transferable skills we've just been talking about apply to so many different professional areas. And what we're finding from universities is that they're really interested in the whole person, not just a narrow particular discipline. So what we talk about is not having a plan B, but having all those doors open so that you can take your future selves are unlimited almost.
Yeah, lovely. Okay. Now, to take a slightly different change on topic, obviously still related to schools, but a topic particularly of interest to international families thinking of sending their children over here to the UK, and that is boarding. Now, what qualities do you think would serve a student who's going to be coming from abroad to come to a boarding school, maybe at Tring Park or another one of our famous boarding schools? What qualities are ones that would really help them in their school career, particularly as a boarder and getting on well making that transition?
Yeah, that is a really good question, and I think we can't avoid the other part of that is that boarding is a huge cultural shift and change for young people. When I was a young dancer, I went to study in Brussels in Belgium as a 16-year-old, and I found that very exciting. What's very helpful for young people is to come with a spirit of open-mindedness, to take a real interest in other people, to listen hard and listen and find out what you can learn from other people. Be a bit adventurous and courageous about that. See it as an opportunity to learn, and then you can really get the most out of it.
Yeah. So before we wrap up the interview, just to open the topic out a little bit more, and you touched on AI, I think you mentioned a little bit earlier. So I was wondering, in your view, with the rapidly changing world that we live in, the constantly changing landscape, what do you think over the next 10 to 15 years are going to be some of the inevitable changes we're going to see, which are going to change the way we educate our children? What things are essential for us to preserve, and what things do you think are inevitably going to change for us over the next 10 to 15 years?
That's such a big question, isn't it? Is that, we could talk a lot about what does knowledge mean. Knowledge is the facts and figures of the world. Computers can do that quicker than we can now. But understanding and then being able to deal with that in a human way, I think is becoming more and more important. So there's lots of discussion around the world about curriculum planning, and do we need to start thinking about the way that our teaching and learning works? Should we still be narrowly teaching this subject and this subject and this subject as separate things, or should we be looking for the interconnections between different academic disciplines? Now, there's no easy answer to that, but I think that we should be excited about. I would talk about co-collaborating with technology rather than seeing it as the technology does this and we do that.
Yeah.
There's all of the ethical questions around AI, but there is a lot to be excited about.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how do we not just coexist but co-create together? I think that can be really exciting.
Yeah.
We're already seeing it in music composition, in writing. We're seeing it. I think one of the big universities in America has designed an AI machine for choreography. So then you've got those big questions of what is art?
Right.
I mean, these are great questions. So yeah, I mean, there's no easy answer, but I think the future looks fantastically exciting. We should not be frightened.
Yeah.
We should be open-minded.
So keeping the human in the loop, so to speak.
Absolutely.
Not handing our creative faculties over completely.
Yeah.
Staying involved.
Let's see the human-machine interface really well developed. I think that can be a really exciting future for us all.
Yeah, good. Okay, the last thing, I gave you a bit of a heads up about this because I didn't want to put you on the spot, but what I wanted to ask, just to close up, which I think is quite a nice way to close it, can you suggest 3 useful words or mantras that would be inspiring for a child or a student, any age, perhaps thinking of a Tring Park student, to say to themselves, maybe in the mirror, every day before they come into school, or every night before they go to sleep?
It's a lovely question. I would say be kind, be curious, and be adventurous.
3 great words to live by, I think. Brilliant. Okay, Simon Larter Evans, thank you very much indeed for your insights. It's been a real pleasure to come and see the school and get to know it better. Thank you very much. We hope to visit again sometime.
Lovely. It's been a great joy to have you with us today. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you.
And thank you all of you for watching, and we hope to see you very soon.